welcome into this Monday, into this marvelous, miraculous, mind blowing, mind moving Monday as we offer up to the awesome one an offering of praise and worship for the grace, for the goodness, for the favor, for the faith, for everything that has been supplied for us in this day. I don't think you recognize how really blessed you are. It is not based on uh, money, houses, or land. It's based on your inner being and your inner joy. You cannot measure up with anything with that kind of energy. Yes, all the other things come, but when you have that inner being, that inner peace, that inner joy, that inner favor, then you offer up to yourself the greatest version of yourself. Just enjoy the day. Aren't you tired of worrying, stressing, depressing, anxiety, and all of those things? Just enjoy the day. Just look outside how beautiful it is. Just enjoy the color of the leaves. Enjoy the breeze. Enjoy the sun. You know, you may face some challenges today, but when you look around and see God's grace and His mercy and how it's keeping you, because you could have been out of here in another dimension, but you've been allowed another opportunity, another chance, another place, another time to do something great. So that means your expiration date has not come, because you still have purpose, you still have destiny, you still have talents, you still have gifts that you must offer up to be a servant in this space, in this place. Listen, I am so grateful. If we just take 10 minutes to just be grateful to what we have, where we're going, how we're going, and the maintaining that God has done for us, then we will have a whole different energy. Remember, we're made of energy, and we're not here to learn. We're here to remember. Remember what? Remember to trust God. Remember that God shall supply your needs according to His riches and glory. Remember that nothing by any means shall harm you or hurt you. When you begin to go back and remember, it puts you in a whole different space and a different place for where you are at this moment. Okay? Well, we're going to get into the message for today, because it is my desire to offer you up tools, information that can connect with your spirit, that can awaken you, that can enlighten you, that can put you in a different space and dimension of this time. Remember, time is not on your side. Time is not here to stay. Time keeps on rolling. All you have is not time. Time is only created when man came into existence. And so we now have a beginning and a stopping time. But in God's grace, it's eternity. Eternity swallows up time. And so if we begin to live like that, then we can take off some of the stress and the mess. We can say, like I asked God, why do I have to struggle? He said, that's not struggle, that's preparation. And so now when you shift the energy of how you describe or how you see or envision your situation, it reverses to whole. You can look at it in a whole different way. So today we're going to talk about the third dimensional mind. And the third dimensional mind is an illusional mind. It is a learned mind. It is the mind that we operate in this present age that we are in, where we were taught to operate in. And so the third dimensional mind conditions you to certain things that if you would remember who you were before all of this happened, you would not consent to doing some of the things that you're doing. You would not consent and agree to a way of life that has not been provided for you. And so what we have to do with the third dimensional mind is we have to unlearn it. In a previous message, I talked to you about an unlearned mind. And so you should go back and listen to that. We have to unlearn this mind that the world has learned us and conditioned us to and made us think that it was normal. I'll keep saying it. The normal that you're looking for was learned to you and taught to you by a man. It is not your original being. Because actually, um, repenting means returning back to your original state of being before you were in your mother's womb. The womb is interpreted as the matrix. And so when you interpret it as the matrix, that means it's in this third dimensional. It's in the eyesight, not the insight. And so your eyesight is illusional. So what you actually see with these eyes are not real. It's just an illusion of what you've been conditioned to. And so when we begin to go back and we begin to be enlightened about who we are, when we begin to be enlightened about how we are and why we're here, it causes us to shift. It causes us to reverse to the place and the space that we must carry out this journey. Remember, we're not dwellers, we're travelers. And we're traveling through this experience. Our soul has been here before, but not in this vehicle. So in this vehicle, our soul is taking a different journey, but has come back to make some corrections from the last journey. And so that's why you have deja vu when you say, I've been here before. Your soul has been there. Your vehicle hasn't been there, but your soul and your spirit's been there before. And so God equipped us with the knowledge and the wisdom for this journey. That's why I say we're not learning, because our soul and our spirit has already been here. Our vehicle is just a shell. And so the soul and the spirit, that's why I say no man can teach you but the spirit. And when we talk about teach, it means that God is already imparted in us in formation, inwardly forming information is already been placed in us. But what we must do in order to transfer or transition from the third dimension, not a physical death, but you can do it. You can be absent from the body and present with the Lord spiritually. Not necessarily, you can do it physically, but you also can do it spiritually. You can go to heaven spiritually, and you can go as you leave this place. So we're all caught up in a particular geographical place, but we must be caught up in a mental place because we serve God with our minds. We operate out of God's imagination, which is unlimited. So when you operate in the third dimensional mind, you operate in limitation, blocks, conditions, traditions, his story and her story instead of your own story. And so when you have been conditioned to that, anything that you're shown outside of that, you'll probably disagree with because it is not something that you are used to or familiar to you. So some of you are experiencing like some weird moods, some weird feelings that you've never felt before. And during this time where we've been in a whole different world based on what they call the pandemic, it has just been an opportunity for God to shift to his fifth dimension, to his fourth dimension, to this place of spirituality, the way he designed it, our land of promise, the way he designed it for this to be the land of plenty. How can we say we serve a God with plenty and we have so many that do not have? Everything is common. So just as we title the rich man and the poor man, on this level, there is no rich man, poor man. There is just the opportunity to live in God's greatest flourishing information, impartation, all that he has for you, education, inspiration, all of that is available to you. But if you mentally don't conceive that, if you mentally don't receive that, then you'll go off in that third dimensional place, that illusional place, that you're depressed. You're not depressed. You're just trying to use the past energy in your present. That state of anxiety. You don't have anxiety. You're just trying to use that future energy in the present. And you can't do that because it'll always be in a friction because the energy changes. You can't kill energy or destroy energy, but it does shift and change. It can be low and it can be high. But you have to choose whether you're going to be hot or cold, because a double-minded man or woman is unstable. Your stability your stability of waking up every morning with expectations for the day, with the favor for the day, with the grace for the day. You should not be waking up on a Monday morning saying, oh, you should be waking up on a Monday morning being excited for what you're going to experience, for what God is going to do for you, for what God is going to lead you to. All of this accesses you into a space and a place of the fourth and fifth dimension. So you're hearing a lot about 3D, 4D, and 5D in the flesh, but actually it is in the spirit. And the flesh is doing like it always does, trying to duplicate God's way of doing something. So you're hearing about the 3D, and I don't know if you heard about it, but I heard that as of the beginning of the year, if you have a 3D or 4D phone, you're not going to be able to use it. You got to have 5D. So if the world knows you should be in the fifth dimension, why don't we as spiritual people know that? Why don't we as spiritual people see that and hear that? So it is time for you to move. It is time for you to shift. It is time for you to transfer. It is time for you to transition out of that third dimension illusional mind that has you imprisoned within your own self because you don't know who you are. I told you this is the year of rapture. This is the year that we rediscover our birthrights, that we get our inheritance, and that we know our nationality. Nationality has nothing to do with color. It has to do with the favor of God, and that you're a God being and a light being, and you're living in the nation of God. If you continue to separate yourself by color, and God is a spirit, then you're not operating. We're in this big thing about color, but your nationality is spiritual. And so when you transition from the things that try to separate us, a divided house is going to fall. And so the world keeps us separated, because once we begin to communicate and recognize that we have the same energy and we're operating on the same power, there's only one power, and that's God's power. Only one real power. Let me put it like that. Only one real and true power, and that's God's power. And when you recognize that, then you stop giving energy to anything outside of God's power. You stop giving energy to the devil, to Satan, whatever you call it. You stop giving energy to death, sickness. Um, um, you stop giving energy to lack and poverty. You start focusing, and I did a message on this too, focusing on how you feel when you have. It's the feeling that you need to continue to feel in your mind. Not have not. We're the haves, not the have nots. Whatever you place your intention on or focus on, most people say, I don't want this, and they focus on that. And because you're focusing on that, you're creating that for your life. So the very thing you were saying, I don't want, you're creating that want in your life. And most people don't know that, because there's a certain energy on I don't want. So that energy is drawn back into yourself. So you have to be very mindful, very careful, and pay attention to what your intention, what your focus is, and what you're imagining. So I've been doing this for myself. Is the moment that I think of a negative thought, I acknowledge the thought and I send it back. Because if it's not edifying me, if it's not taking me to the greatest version of me, if it is not taking me to a higher place, then it is not from God. So what we must do is acknowledge it. Yeah, I hear you, but I'm sending you back because you're not edifying me. Most of us will take that negative thought and run with it. And as we're running with it, we're writing the vision and we're making it plain and we're running with it. And when you run with it, you're creating that. And so what we have to do is make the shift. Not saying you're not going to have those thoughts, because they will come. Because what? It comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Just because it comes don't doesn't mean that you have to gravitate to it. So what we must do is acknowledge it and send it back from whence it came, because it can't benefit us. The word of God says, if the Lord is your shepherd, then you shall not want. So you can't continue to say, I want. You are a person that it creates. And if it wasn't before, when you create it, it becomes. Why? Because the power of God resonates in you. And everything that God speaks into the universe, it becomes. And we share with co-creators with that same power. But if you're not one within yourself, and if you're not one within your mind, because double-minded man is unstable, means you're vasculating. One day you're this and one day you're that. You must be stable-minded in order to move from this third dimensional world thinking. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. I keep telling you, there's a heart mind and there's a head mind. The heart mind is righteous. God speaks there. There's an ear there, and the truth is there, and faith is there. The head mind is fear, confusion, doubt, selfishness, resentment, and the list goes on. So you have to go heart mind first, then line it up with your head mind. Once you do that, the heart mind will clear out all fear, doubt, selfishness, and resentment, and replace it with the truth, the power, and faith. So allow yourself to transform from this third dimensional mind to the fifth dimensional mind. Now, if you decide not to transition to that, you'll continue to chase normal. And it's a normal that was created by a man, not God. It is God's will that we prosper. I wish above all things that you would prosper, even as your soul prospers. So we have to begin to pay attention, be mindful, and focus on what we're thinking about, where we're thinking about it, and what to do about what we're thinking about. Well, this is Michelle, and I'm your motivator. In today's Michelleology Involution Meditation, this is one to grow on. This is one to meditate on. This is meditation. I do meditation all different ways, but one way I meditate is to focus on what I must do to be the greatest version of myself. Another meditation I do in the morning and I do at night, where I clear out all the negativity so that I can rest, not just sleep, so I can rest. And in the morning, the first thing on my mind will not be what I dealt with in the past, which was yesterday, which is now an illusion, and it's an energy that cannot or will struggle to get into your present energy. That's why you're having the clash. Again, your past energy, even from the last moment, cannot operate in the present energy. Your future energy cannot operate here. So that's why you deal with depression, past, anxiety, future. Stay in the present, stay in the now. All right, I hope this has been a blessing to you. Thank you, Haps TV, for this opportunity and this platform to stream out to multiple social medias. Download the app, it's free. You can support this broadcast and others and create your own. This is Marvelous Monday. This is Magnificent Monday. Let's get our mind together. Once we get our mind together, we begin to balance and line up, then the light can come. So I want you to continue to hold on to the light. No matter what darkness comes your way, hold on to the light. Because as long as you hold on to the light, you'll be able to see your way. All right? So may the love, joy, peace, power, and sound-mindedness be your soul food for today. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate your support, and continue to grow to the greatest version of yourself. We've been created by the Creator to be creative. So start creating your creations and stop duplicating. Be blessed.